Hey guys, so welcome back to another voiceover and another video. So this is going to both go up on the members site and YouTube, just to give people a bit of an idea as to what they're potentially missing out on the members site again. So yeah, at the moment I'm just going to do like a brief check-in as to where I'm at, sort of with my body weight and where my calories are at, and all the interesting stuff that people love to listen to, whilst some training clips go on in the background of my lower session, a few clips from lower and a few clips from upper recently. So over the Christmas period, I roughly maintained my body weight, so it was around about sort of the mid 150s that I was at. I didn't really sort of veer too far up or too far down over that, purely because training variables were in a spot where, times that the gym were open, family commitments, etc., led me to the idea that maintaining my body weight over this period of time, after the initial increase post-show, was probably the most feasible idea. This worked well. Was happy with the look at the end of Christmas, just sort of like a look where my body had calmed down a little bit from the initial fat gain post-show, but I was still in a position where I could push calories forwards. Whereas a lot of people now will find themselves in that post-show window and they're like, fuck, I've eaten all the food, I've gained all the body fat, now have no appetite, or my appetite's diminished, and I've got a ton of fat to lose before I can productively gain muscle. Well, you're up shit's creek, mate, because that's not a good place to be. You're starting your year in a very, very disadvantageous position. So for those people that have done that, like, your only way is to actually go backwards. And as frustrating as it is, and as suboptimal as that is, going backwards and losing fat again to get in a position to build muscle is your only way to maximize muscle gain. The reality is you have to take some of that fat off to be in a good position to grow. And that's unfortunate, and that's gonna cost you some metabolic advantages that you would have gotten if you'd taken your time. So my approach at the moment is to certainly take my time. My training at the moment is very demanding from a recovery standpoint, so I have to make sure that I eat enough. My appetite is incredible, so I could be eating more than I'm currently eating, and on most training days at the moment, my calories are around about 4,000. In the context of my overall week, I have normally one rest day throughout the week, if not two. It depends on when I take them, purely because my split at the moment is either 3 on, 1 off, or 4 on, 1 off, with an upper-lower principle. The rationale behind sort of my upper-lower split now is primarily because I can get calories up, and my recovery capabilities are pretty high, and it just allows me to spread my volume across the week even more so than a push-pull leg split. With my training age at the moment, my ability to sort of respond from an upper-lower split and that kind of frequency is still very much there. So I'd recommend for people within that 2 to 5 year training age bracket, upper-lower splits should still be where you're sitting, in my opinion. Unless you have a really high preference for that push-pull leg split and you just enjoy it more, which in the past I have, but now I've got more energy. I love training upper-lower splits. But when energy stores were diminished throughout dieting periods, I didn't enjoy them, purely because of the amount of work that you usually have to do within a session, and also the variety in the demands of the training session, purely because you're working through all muscle groups in your upper body throughout an upper body session. It is quite neurologically taxing to be able to sort of max out several upper body lifts in one session. So body weight now at the moment, I think my average came up around about 0.5 to a pound this week. And I have to say, in sort of the way that I look and feel, I think it's a better look, purely because I'm now eating enough. And that I'm eating consistently, which is a huge part of my off season, is to be very consistent with my intake. So on training days, my macro setup usually looks around about 650 carb, 45 to 50 fat, and around about 230 protein. And then on my off days, it's at the moment, the plan is to run sort of very low carbohydrate, just coming from vegetables, and then the highest fats that I usually run in any sort of day will be on my off days, and we're looking at anywhere between 120 and 150, and then we're looking at, again, sort of 220, 230 protein. That's a huge difference in caloric intake. And over time, I will certainly be revisiting as to whether that's diminishing my recovery capabilities with that sort of drop off. And I'll also be looking into whether I need more calories just to sustain the body weight progress that I need. Therefore, does increasing the rest days make sense? At the moment, that diversity in intake is allowing me to eat a lot on my training days, fuel them really well, and recover really well. It's allowing me to still recover on my rest days, but it's also allowing me to stay that little bit leaner by the diversity and the transition in those calorie amounts. So it's something you can look into, guys, because personally, when I'm on a rest day, my appetite is certainly not as high. I can just, if I'm busy, especially with sort of client work, I can certainly break through, a good time window without sort of tucking into any food. And that's a benefit of dropping your food, because otherwise, the minute I sort of put carbohydrates in in decent amount on rest days, my hunger certainly picks up as I sort of I can put away carbohydrate, no issues. But dietary fat and sort of protein, they do definitely keep me more satiated throughout a rest day, and certainly less food focused. So yeah, it's something that I'm playing with, but I thought that I'd open up and be honest as to sort of the variety and the calorie amounts that I am consuming, and probably a reason why, you'll see I was eating a lot. But yes, I am eating a lot, but I'm eating a lot on training days, and I'm almost sort of restricting back a little bit on my rest days. In terms of the training approach, and a lot of the questions I'm getting is regarding top sets in upper lower training. So usually I will utilize a top set as part of my compound exercise selection. So for example, on an upper body day, I may do sort of 2 compounds for chest and 1 isolation, purely because chest is a weaker body part. And then for shoulders, I usually do 1 compound, 1 isolation. So it'll look like a press, and something like a lateral raise or a rear delt move. And then for back, I usually do 2 compounds, and that's it. One of which will be more CNS and neurologically demanding, and one will be less. So I deem a pull-up as a fairly compound back move. I mean, yes, it's isolating your lats, but I do feel like it's a decently big move. It's demanding, and you'll see in this session that follows this sort of death set that I did on the sumo squat, that I couple a dead stop T-bar with a pull-up as my 2 back moves in this session. I actually did 1 set of a single arm row as well. Usually at this period in time in this upper lower split, I seem to be able to recover from sort of 2, like I said, 2 compound moves on my chest, 1 isolation, and 3 sets usually on each. So that's a total of sort of 5 to 6 sets, maybe even closer to 7 sets of chest. And that's split across the week. That's a lot of work on my chest, and I seem to be recovering pretty well from that. At the moment, flat bench has come back in, as you can see in this video here. Got, I think, 5 reps at 90, which I'm pretty pleased with, to be honest. At this current body weight, that's certainly not too shy of where I was at when I sort of left the bench press about 5 months ago. So really, really chuffed with that, and it shows the process of putting on body fat and improving a bench press certainly makes a difference in terms of how it feels. But yes, in terms of top sets, I will perform 1 top set, and then my back off sets will usually be like a 10% reduction in load, and then backing off and sort of accruing volume with a lower RPE. This allows me to obviously get to the point where I'm not demanding so much of my central nervous system to recover from several sets taken very close to failure, and it allows me to progress in 2 manners. It allows me to progress from a top set, all you can get or all you can eat reps, and then it also allows me to look at my down sets and think, okay, can I progress this week whilst still staying in the intensity bracket that I've put on that move. So the intensity bracket on down sets will usually be around about that RPE 8 or 9. So at least 1 to 2 in the tank. Now 1 to 2 in the tank for me is something like the last rep was still hard, man. It's not like they're easy. It's not like I'm leaving 2 in the tank and those reps would have come easy. No, it's like those reps would have been hard, like hard as fuck. And I might have needed the second rep. I might have needed a spot even. So for me to look at moves like that, I've really got to take into perspective controlling intensity and making sure that I'm always in a position to progress somehow, whether that's through my down sets or my top sets. That will be determined as to how I feel, and that's the auto-regulatory approach in my training. By auto-regulations, I mean sort of going by feel and going by the day itself. You know, did I get a good sleep? Was I hydrated pre-session? Did I nail my food? And controlling these variables will allow you to create that environment where you really do respond to how you feel. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned as an athlete is some element of auto-regulation in your training and how positive that can be. So I'm going to leave it here, guys. Hope you enjoyed the new intro. Thank you so much to the guy that emailed me with that intro. You're a legend, guy. And thank you so much, dude. And I think his name was Harry, so thank you very much, matey. And we will speak soon in the next video. Again, thank you for watching. And hope you're all well and hope you're enjoying the new year. And hope that 2018 brings you absolutely everything that you want to achieve. Just write it down and go crush it. Cheers, guys.